wiring harness. Well, it's more than one. How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 main harnesses, but this is what the old one looks like on the floor, all laid out roughly in the position that they go into the car. I'll try and go through some of these. I'm absolutely not an expert at this. Okay, so I'm a process of elimination guy. I make the connections. I can read the wiring diagrams quite well, but exactly for routing and everything else, you need a lot of experience. And for me, it's trial and error, and relying on the photographs and the video that I took. The car is 50, well, actually more than that, well, at least 50 years old. So putting in a new wiring harness is an absolute no-brainer, especially when you have the old one out. You can actually get everything. There's numerous places that you can buy them. But this will give you an idea of what you need for a Series 2. This is the Moss catalog, but nearly all of the contacts that I use for different parts, Jaguar parts, actually give you access. My experience is that they're pretty accurate, but I always check. One of the first things I do before I fit a harness is I make sure that the harness connections are identical, and if they're not, I need to try and figure out why. Right. So anyway, so we have, this is the main harness here, and basically that runs all the way up to the front of the car, and this is cut off because I cut it off to take it out of the car, but this is the hood harness connection. There's a big socket that goes on the end of here, and as I say, I cut that off while I was taking the car apart. This harness is obviously extremely long, right, and connects into several other harnesses. So this harness also connects into the dashboard harness, where all of the instrument panels are, all the instruments are. It also connects to the back of the car. So this is the left-hand side harness. And then it's also connected into the right-hand side harness, going all the way back. There are 2 other main harnesses. This is for the alternator, and it runs separately to the main harness, but comes out of the same location on the near the front of the car. And then this is the hood harness. Now, there are lots of other small harnesses. This one as an example. You also have this kind of thing. Oh, just stepped on one. This is another one. So it really is a process of elimination. They're well documented in terms of what you need to buy, and it just requires a great deal of patience and hunting down each connection one at a time. They do line up very nicely. That is again my experience. So I'm hoping that this is the case. I can't say I've done too many, maybe 5 or 6 in my time. And the hardest part about the Jaguar is that getting your head underneath that dash can be a little painful, but once it's in, it's in. And we can't have a car without the harness. So we're gonna have to figure it all out. I have the 2 rear harnesses that go from front to back in the car. They go down each side of the car, and I've also got this front harness in, but main harness, but I'm going to talk about that in a second separately. So these are the connections that go into that main harness. And basically that harness tucks up behind goes to the front wall. I've just got it loosely laid in while I've made these connections here. Um, they Then the harness goes down the side of the car um, and across. The sheath area is on this waterfall section. There's a grommet in here that needs to be assembled onto the harness. Um, that grommet comes out at the bottom there. There's one hole, and then it goes underneath. Got to get it above those two threaded bolts there. For that, those are for the hinges. Another grommet here, and then the cable lays in the back. Okay. Similarly, on the other side, I don't have this connected in yet, but I think it's fairly clear that these connections are made here. There's some other things going on as well with the body harness that was one reason why I'm holding off on that at the moment. But again, it goes down the length of the car. This one is slightly different, which is how you know, a telltale sign of how you know. But this one has also got the handbrake cable. So that goes across the car onto the tunnel. Let's walk around. Goes over the tunnel, and then the live goes into the bottom of that switch there. Again, there's a grommet at the firewall. There are two holes there. One is for the cable release, which is the top one. Let's get a bit closer. One is for the cable release for the rear for the boot lid, and then the bottom grommet is for the actual cable. Anyway, I can't remember which one is which for the bonnet release, but this cable is definitely the bottom one based on my photographs. Okay. And then again, there's the inside. You can see that grommet at the bottom. The cable, I need to tuck that in a bit more. That cable runs across, got to clear those two threads. Another grommet here, and then it's laid inside. I'm also changing all of the earthing pins. These are brand new. They're relatively expensive actually, but I want to maximize my chance for success here. So those are the rear lines. We'll talk about the front main harness in a sec. So this is the old main harness that's laid out on the floor. You can see it's very, very long. And it's actually connected into the body harness and the two rear harnesses. So that connection point for the rear harness is here on one side. Actually, this is laid out. So this is that line there that you see. That is for the left-hand side. This little guy here is for the right-hand side. So you have that connection. So this harness goes to the very front of the car and then across the bulkhead, and is wired into, among other things, the fuse panel. So This is the main harness, the new harness in the car. They look absolutely stunning. And this eventually will go to the front of the car. I've got it tucked away at the moment. It goes to the front of the car on the using the subframe. And it's difficult to judge exactly how much you have to push through. I fed this wire harness through from this side and then pulled it through from underneath, and I managed to get that to work. And I got that to work with the pedal box in. I was a little nervous about that. This is a brand new grommet. Rightly or wrongly, I fed that grommet from this side, rather than the other side. There, the 6 of one, half a dozen of another. It just requires a degree of patience. Then let me get my torch back out. 1 sec. On the inside of the car, it comes through that grommet there, and then snakes its way up to the bulkhead. Right now, I'm just simply laying it in. There's another body harness to go in as well, and you can see that this goes across the car, and the connection to the rear harness is made over on that right hand side. I have this wired in at the moment. I've just spent a little bit of time connecting this up. I connect up as I go, as much as I possibly can with what's in the car. This is a little tricky, obviously. That earthing wire, sorry, not earthing wire, that brown wire, which is alive, is actually a white wire or a cloth type wire. I'll show you it on the other side. So there are white wires, and then there are these brown wires that are slightly different on the new harnesses compared to the old harnesses. I'll share some of that in a second. So it's a little confusing, but you can work it out. Right now this is laid in, and my next task is to put in the alternator harness. But as an example, that brown wire that I was showing you is actually this wire here. The problem is you then have this white wire. So these can get very confusing. This is a white one. This is a live brown feed. I know that that's gone on to the fuse box in the location that it is purely out of elimination, and I also know that it's sitting slightly higher than slightly lower on the fuse box connection than these green wires. So I can work that out through a process, literally a process of elimination. So in the car it sits and looks something like that in terms of positioning this relative to that. Little tricky, but also quite rewarding. This is another example of a brown wire, which is a live feed typically, and then this one is maybe you can't see it, but this is brown and purple. Making sure you have these connected up correctly can take some time. So for me, it's really a process of elimination, trying to resolve one connection one at a time. I go back and forth with the old harness and the new harness, keep checking, cross-checking, and for me that process works. But while I'm waiting on front end bits, I'm laying in this harness right now, so I'm quite pleased with where I am.